By now, you should have a good idea of what you can expect from hell. You know to kill the first person you see when you fight your way out of a burning sack. You know, find clothing, tools, and shelter. You know that no matter what you do, how well you do, someday it's back to being fresh meat. This is the biggest city you can imagine. Tribes fight and die for territory, and taking a wrong turn is a fucking death sentence. You'll get a feel for where you should and shouldn't go eventually. Develop the kind of street smarts you need to stay a resident for more than a day. Even so, there are places in this that you should know about. Let's do a little sightseeing of tour of hell. Maybe the advance warning will do you some good. Skin Street. Allow me to tell you about the first time I saw Skin Street. I dropped out of my birthing sack onto the road, stood straight back up, and got myself ready to fight. Nobody was there. Not one single person was on the street that stretched for miles in either direction. I relaxed a little and took a look around. Most of the streets in this labyrinth network of buildings you spend most of your day in hell, and that paranoid that just around the next corner there's someone ready to beat you down. Skin Street isn't like that. It's a single straight line with only the rain and the darkness to hamper visibility. I felt more vulnerable there than I've felt in any other part of this. You ever walked into a wide, empty street and suddenly felt exposed? Yeah. Imagine also being naked, unarmed, in hell. Still, I knew what I was supposed to do. The first step was to find some clothing. That's where I learned how Skin Street got its name. Every building, every busted streetlight and gas lamp were decorated with a flayed skin. I've been in hell long enough by the point that not to be freaked out, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't affect me. In a fucked up kind of way, it reminded me of Christmas. You know? People hanging wreaths and lights from their houses. That sort of thing. I remember the time I spent my family with my kids on Christmas morning. Feelings that like you get killed. I pushed them back down and pulled some scraps from the nearest building. If somebody was going to leave clothing material lying around, I may as well take it, right? I didn't know at the time, but every step I took on Skin Street was being watched. When the attack came, I didn't get the glimpse of the guy. Bang! My skull fractured from an expert of swing of a club. Whoever hit me went for my eyes the second I hit the floor. Stuck his fingers right into my socket. I was blind and crying like a baby when he started to peel away my skin. Here's the thing, some people are fucked up even by hell standard. The loners, serial killers, stalkers, and psychos all make their way to Skin Street in the most end. Most of the damned use the whole body of a kill, but the Skin Street people like to take trophies. They leave their ornaments out as bait for the ignorant, skulking in the shadows and waiting for the best moments to ambush. If you find yourself on Skin Street, you're going to have to think fast. Forget clothing. Just grab a rock, a piece of wood, or anything else you can use as a weapon. Stay out of the shadows. Keep checking behind you and get out of there as quickly as you can. Perdition to farms. You're going to be chasing hell. That's unavoidable. At some point, you'll into somebody bigger than you, or you'll find yourself outnumbered. Forget about a fair fight. If somebody can take you down without fighting back, you bet that's what they'll do. It's easy to lose focus on when you're running for your life. You can forget to pay attention to your surroundings. That, my friend, is a big mistake. The outskirts of Perdition farms are littered with billboards. They promised free food and safety to anybody fucking stupid enough to believe them. The tribes that fight over that particular territory like to be heard people off the streets and into the industrial complex they call home. The good news is that those tribes won't kill you. The bad news is that you're a big fan of taking people alive. They've got a project, you see. Been working on it for as long as I can remember. I couldn't tell you who originally decided that hell should have been organized food productions. Only the idea stuck, and that over the years, countless tribes have taken it upon themselves to try and make that dream a reality. Get yourself captured by them, and you can look forward to the bit of a slave labor. For the most part, the Perdition farms tribes tried to make use of the birthing pods as a source of food. They forced their slaves to harvest them for the walls, grind them in industrial vats, mix them with blood, body parts, rainwater, and anything else that can convincingly make a broth. The life of a slave is short, brutal, and disgusting, particularly when those slaves are then used as guinea pigs for the latest concoction. You see, atomic fluid can be drunk if you're desperate, though drinking too much is guaranteed to make you empty your stomach from every available orifice. The flesh of the sacks is a different matter, though. So I couldn't tell you exactly what the birthing sacks are. Some people say that they're actual flesh, while others swear they are more like a fungus. What I do know is that they repair themselves over time. Eat some of their flesh, and over the next few days, you'll grow a new birthing sac inside you. It's a small mercy that you won't live long enough to break through your skin. You'll be dead shortly after your stomach bursts. If you're lucky, your days as a slave will end. The tribe decides they want to eat some real meat. They're not stupid enough to test their broth themselves. Not when there's no shortage of slaves in hell. Look, I can't force you to stay out of Perdition farms. I can only offer advice. In my opinion, if you think that you're being hurted there, it's better to take whatever is hand to hand and cut your own throat. I'd take fresh meat status 100 times before spending another day on the farms. The boneyard. So maybe you're thinking to yourself, hey, I'm the kind of nut job who joined a cult. Is there anything in hell for me? If that sounds like you, the boneyard has you covered. You see, there's a certain kind of religious fanatic who really does belong in hell. I'm not talking about the old dears who bake cakes to raise money for the new church route there. I'm talking about the guys who went to war because God commanded it, who burned women for supposedly consorting with demons, and who saw nothing wrong with the fucking odd kid. When those people get to hell, they're too thick-headed to make sense of what happened. Why face reality when you can pretend it's just a test of faith? Like, they find like-minded folk in the boneyard. I'm told that at one time, the boneyard was a cathedral surrounded by a cemetery that stretch from the horizon to horizon. Maybe that's true. I don't know. These days, it's a shanty town of temples and churches built from the materials scavenged from the street. Everywhere you look, you'll find a wild-eyed zealot preaching their own twisted versions of redemption, gangs of masked men on the prowl for fresh converts. Mortification of the flesh is the main pastime in the boneyard. If you listen to the cacophony of this sermon, you'll be informed on how the flesh is wicked and must be purged out of sin. How lucky we are to be given such a holy duty. How fortunate to be given the opportunity to redeem ourselves before God. The people of the boneyard had a long time of plenty of fucking practice when it comes to mastering torture and degradation. I'm not a good person. I've killed, raped, and cannibalized, but I can honestly tell you I've never been able to dream of some of the shit that goes on to the boneyard. I wandered in there by accident once, and I've never been able to get what I saw in my brain. I watched a woman, naked and bound, forced onto her knees and violated with iron rods. A preacher sewed his own eyes and lips shut in the front of the crowd before sawing off his manhood with a piece of slate. A boy, maybe 14, was publicly crucified. A girl was drowned in shit. An older man with sharpened flint pushed under his fingernails. I could list off 100 other atrocities done in the name of redemption. Stay away from the boneyard. The people there decided that hell isn't just hellish enough for their liking. Forget about redemption. Forget about God. The only way out of hell is by riding a pillar of fire and taking over a living body. Focus on that if you want to escape. Damn can't offer you enough salvation. The damn only offer pain.